Let's talk a little bit about alternative text. Alternative text is the text-based replacement that conveys the purpose or function of a non-text element. That just means something visual. Generally, it's 8 to 80 characters, no more than 125, or we're not facilitating individuals using older screen readers. Often they won't read more than 125 character long alternative text. That's not a rule, it's just an accommodation, a consideration for those using older screen readers. How do we compose alternative text? We want to make sure that we replace the image with text that conveys the same meaning and has the same objective as what we're trying to convey with the image itself. For example, in this image in a computer class, meaningful alternative text might be computers require patience. And in many cases you'll see it really doesn't matter so much what the visual actually looks like. You want to make sure that you're going to convey the same objective with text that you're trying to convey visually. How do we add alternative text in PowerPoint? It's very easy. We're going to right-click on the graphic and select Format Picture. Step 2. Click Alt Text in the Format Picture menu. Step 3. Often you may have brought along a file name, or in this case, when I had added some type of graphic element, it brought along an entire clip art. I added clip art. It brought along an entire file path, which of course would have no meaning whatsoever and in fact be quite irritating to assistive technology. So you want to make sure that if you see that when you open your alternative text, you delete the file name or file path. Step 4. Add meaningful alternative text in the title text box. Now, in a perfect world, that's the only place we'd have to put it. But it's a good idea to duplicate that in the description text box as well. That assures screen reader access. And also, if down the line we may choose to convert this to another format, often alternative text will stay with the image if it's in the description text box and not so if it's in the title text box. Step 5. Click the Close button and you've successfully added alternative text to your image in PowerPoint 2010. Long descriptions. It's another kind of alternative text for when 125 characters is just not enough to convey what you're trying to convey with that graphic element. Some things that need long descriptions are diagrams, charts, graphs, complex images, and often tables that are created in PowerPoint. At this time, when you create a table in PowerPoint, it is often not accessed as a table, but instead as an image. So you want to make sure that you add alternative text or a long description that conveys whatever you're trying to convey with that table. Let's talk about charts. We always want to keep charts and graphs simple. Charts and graph data should be available in one or more of the following formats. The more the better. In the slide text, that means right available on the screen so that the information is available to all learners. As a long description, and often if we can glean the information visually, we'll put the equivalent information in the long description for someone who is not able to visually access the chart or graph. We can do it as a database table in a separate file. A well-constructed Excel document is pretty accessible, and that is an option in quite a few cases. The accessible chart. One of the key elements that we must remember, and this is a across-the-board concept, but we probably see it most often in PowerPoint. Don't use color as the only means of conveying visual information. Now you'll see that by default, the indicator of Monday, Wednesday, and Friday were the colors blue, red, and green, which would be quite difficult for someone who has low vision or is colorblind. They might not be able to see the difference between the colors and discern which was which. So we added the information actually onto the graphical representation. So rather than blue just indicating Monday, it actually says Monday on it as well. To compose the long description, as we said before, you want to convey the same information you are conveying with the graphic in a particular situation. What that means is you might not always need to convey all of the information in a chart or a graph. If you're just talking about a certain element of that chart or graph, that's all you have to talk about in the long description. We'll look at our sample chart right now. Week fruit sales daily totals, total number of bushels Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And then within the chart, we see the breakdown day by day. Now, we're going to convey the objective. What do we include? In this slide, the chart is being used to convey the bushels of fruit sold on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, the week of June 18th. The types of fruit are not relevant in this particular slide, and the totals are available as text on the page, so we don't need to include that information in the long description for the slide. In that case, we're just going to talk about how many bushels in each category were available on each day. Don't even have to define the categories, and I'll talk a little bit about that in the next slide. We're going to add a long description. Step 1 and 2. To add a long description, the first thing we're going to do is right-click on the exterior border. You want to make sure you get the exterior border, or you'll end up putting alternative text on an individual element or somewhere that you don't want it. You need for it to be, the alternative text to be available to assistive technology must be in the whole chart. After you've selected that, and you'll know that you've selected the correct option because it will say Format Chart Area, and that's what pops up when you have indeed selected the entire chart. Okay, the next steps. The Format Chart Area opens, and we're going to select Alt Text from the menu. We'll give the chart a title, in this case, Fruit Sales, Week 6, June 18th. In the description text box, we're going to add the appropriate long description. So what we're adding is on Monday 4.3 bushels, Tuesday 6 bushels, Monday 4.3 bushels, 6 bushels, 5 bushels, 4.5 bushels. On Wednesday 5 bushels, 6.4 bushels, 4.8 bushels, 5.8 bushels. On Friday 4.5 bushels, 7 bushels, 6 bushels, 7 bushels. So you'll see, as we said, the total is not necessary because that's available in text on the page, and the individual fruits aren't necessary because that's not part of what's being conveyed by this. It's the amount of bushels sold. So it's not necessary to tell what kind each one is. You want to convey with your text exactly what you're trying to convey with the image. And although the information is there, it's not relevant to what we're trying to convey, so we don't have to include it. And then we'll click the Close button. And then we've successfully added alternative text. Keyboard access. It's important to be able to access all PowerPoint elements using the keyboard alone. Many individuals are not able to use a mouse. People who use assistive technology generally do not use a mouse, but they're not the only ones. On the Transitions tab menu, confirm that On Mouse Click is selected. This is critical, even if the transition type is none. If the On Mouse Click option is selected, users are able to navigate through the slideshow using the spacebar. The adjacent video uses the on-screen keyboard to demonstrate spacebar navigation. I'm going to use my Tab key to access the control in the embedded video in PowerPoint, And now I'll use my Enter key to begin the process. And you can see we're using the space bar to go from one slide to another. Even though it's called on mouse click, the space bar does an excellent job of this. And if someone was using assistive technology as it went through, the screen reader would be reading all the text that's available either in the outline view or in the alternative text. Simple transitions and animations. Keep it simple. You've heard that before. Simple transitions and animation used in moderation can now be accessible. In the past, we discouraged any use of transitions and animations, but that's no longer the case. As long as you keep them simple and use them in moderation, they go quite nicely with basic accessible presentations. You want to make sure you use the Start on Click option in the animation so that keyboard access is available for those who cannot use a mouse. Simple transitions and animations are navigated without a mouse using the spacebar. Additional elements such as videos are accessed on the page with the Tab key, then activated with the Enter key. And I'm going to demonstrate that right now. I'm going to click, I know there's a video there, I'm going to click the Tab key and my control bar comes up. Now I'm going to click the Enter key and it will begin playing. There's no audio. This is just showing you, representing how someone navigates through an accessible PowerPoint presentation using just the spacebar. And this is incorporating simple transitions and animations. And a screen reader would read these elements just as they're revealed. Another great tool that's available, and we're just going to talk about it briefly, is the Accessibility Checker. The Accessibility Checker is a feature new to Office 2010 that's available in Word, PowerPoint, and Excel, and it does an overview check of accessibility elements in your presentation document or your Excel file. Now, it doesn't always catch everything, but it catches enough that it helps you get on the path to great habits. I say it's like having a little accessibility person sitting right beside you. How do we get to the accessibility checker? On the tabs at the top, we're going to click File, and then select the Info menu tab. Click the Check for Issues button, and then click Check Accessibility. And at that point in time, a menu will come up on the right side that will give you an idea of errors, warnings, and tips. Not only will it tell you what's wrong, it'll tell you why it's wrong, and then it will step by step you through making these simple corrections. Now, as I said, it doesn't always catch everything, but it's a great start, and it's a great resource and a great way to end this lesson on accessible presentations using Microsoft PowerPoint 2010. Thank you.